Welcome, innovators, business owners, entrepreneurs, technology experts, academia, government R&D communities, and other members of the North Carolina innovation ecosystem. This is Defense Technology Talks, hosted by the North Carolina Defense Technology Transition Office, or NC DEFTECH. In this podcast, we will showcase various technologies with local and national experts who aim to solve complex national security problems. In the coming weeks, we will highlight North Carolinians with the potential to, or those that have positively contributed to enhancing the capabilities of our warfighters, law enforcement, and first responders. We will also feature government leaders in research and development who have helped shape the future in this domain. These podcasts are just one of the many free services provided by the North Carolina government to assist the North Carolina innovation ecosystem to thrive and provide solutions for our nation.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to North Carolina, the front line of the future, home to a thriving dual-use innovation ecosystem, deep DoD industry academic partnerships, and an expansive commitment to national defense, all right here in North Carolina. My name is Denny Lewis, and I'm the director of the North Carolina Defense Technology Transition Office, DEFTECH. DEFTECH is a state-funded entity located in the Research Triangle Park, nestled between Duke University, NC State, UNC Chapel Hill, and the Army Research Office. DEFTECH is the component of the North Carolina Military Business Center that's headquartered and supported by the Fayetteville Technical Community College in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Through education, outreach, networking, and liaison, DEFTECH enables its innovation ecosystem to address complex national security problems. Although we are in North Carolina, DEFTECH recognizes that to meet the needs of our warfighters, and North Carolina has the preponderance of those on the tip of the spear, that solutions require collaboration and teamwork. So we welcome members of our innovation network today from Indiana, Texas, Kansas, South Carolina, Washington, Alabama, California, Florida, Virginia, Illinois, Ohio, Washington, D.C., and of course here in North Carolina, who are all joining us this morning. Today we have over 120 registered attendees, including inventors, innovators, techies, investors, academia, and government personnel. Before we get to the main event, some administrative items. This event is being recorded, and the slides will be made available afterwards on the ncmbc.us website. My colleague and DEFTECH Senior Manager Bob Burton will moderate the Q&A session following the presentation. So draft your questions in the Q&A box, not the chat function. And be sure, again, the Q&A box, not the chat function. Today, we're going to talk about transformational change instead of incremental advances. For 60 years, this has been the focus of the Defense Advanced Research Programs Agency. DARPA comprises approximately 220 government employees in 6 technical offices, including nearly 100 program managers, who together oversee about 250 research and development programs. It can really be overwhelming. And today we are fortunate to have the program director of the DARPA Small Business Programs Office, Ms. Jennifer Tabbitt. And she's going to explain how to navigate the DARPA organization to identify and submit for funding opportunities. Ms. Tabbitt is an experienced program manager with an extensive background supporting DARPA in the Department of Defense, enhancing the ability of small businesses to create and transition revolutionary technologies that benefit the warfighter, the federal government, and the commercial marketplace is of paramount importance in Ms. Tabbitt's role as the program director for DARPA Small Business Programs Office. She is focused on creating an environment that considers small business concerns a primary source of innovative solutions and advancing small business relationships and training opportunities within the DoD and other federal agencies. Prior to joining DARPA, Ms. Tabbitt spent more than 13 years with Booz Allen Hamilton supporting DARPA in the DoD by providing program and project management for complex government contracts with a focus on project and financial management. She has specialized expertise in contract negotiations, business process improvements, and small business relations and risk management. Her experience includes work in multiple DARPA technical offices where she supported all aspects of the DARPA programmatic lifecycle from program concept to transition. Her background also includes work in DARPA support offices, including the Director's Office and the Mission Services Office, where she served as the contract program manager for DARPA's largest and most complex support contract. Prior to her time at DARPA, Ms. Tabbitt spent time as an attorney specializing in contract law and general litigation. Ms. Tabbitt holds a Bachelor of Arts degree from Washington University in St. Louis, a Juris Doctorate degree from the George Washington University School of Law, and a Project Management Professional certification from the Project Management Institute. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Jennifer Tabbitt, Program Director, DARPA Small Business Programs Office. Jennifer, thanks for joining us. Over to you.
All right. Thanks, Danny. I really appreciate you guys having me. I'm excited to be back. I think we did this about a year and a half or so ago, and this is one of my favorite conversations that we did because it was just that. It was a conversation. So I'll spend a couple of minutes kind of going through DARPA and different ways to engage. And then I'll talk about the SBIR program. And then I'm really hoping that we'll be able to kind of have a conversation and answer a lot of your questions. A lot of the goals of doing this really is to kind of help break down those barriers to entry and help you guys understand ways to get involved. So I think we'll just dive right into the slides. Get going. All right. So let's go ahead and get with slide 2. Denny gave such a great introduction on me that I think we can get started. Okay. So DARPA's mission is really to create breakthrough technologies and capabilities for national security that both prevent and create strategic surprise. We invest very heavily in early stage products and ideas, very early low scale TRL. And the goal really is to change the impossible into the possible. As you can kind of see from the slide, our successes and achievements really kind of speak for themselves. DARPA is responsible for things such as the internet, Siri, as well as lots of game-changing technologies and ideas, self-driving cars and whatnot. But I always like to mention on this slide that I don't think a lot of people know, but it was actually a small business back in the 80s in the DARPA SBIR program that was responsible for designing the integrated chip that enabled Wi-Fi. That SBIR project really pioneered the technologies that enable wireless connections found in every single smartphone, tablet, and computer these days. It made smartphones capable of everything from browsing the internet and providing driving directions to streaming music, wireless headphones, and so much more. And it really was impactful that it was a small business, and DARPA really runs on small business. And so if we'll go to the next slide, I'll kind of talk to you a little bit about why I'm here and our commitment, right? Before I dive into the details of the SBIR and STTR programs, I always like to take a quick minute to highlight our commitment to working with small businesses. As you can see from the slide, DARPA has committed about 28% of its available funding to small businesses in FY20 and FY21. And that's pretty reflective of what we do year after year. With over $598 million going to small businesses in FY21, that really kind of breaks down to about $74 million being sent to small disadvantaged businesses, over $110 million being used by our SBIR program, and tons of dollars and contracts going to A-Days, veteran-owned small businesses, women-owned small businesses, hub zones, and alike. Our small business gamut, really, the spend, it runs from R&D programs down to even our support contracts. In fact, our IT services support contract is a small business set aside. DARPA's really, it's an agency not afraid to take risks if it means that we move the technology needle forward. But in order to do that, we have to partner with small businesses. It's these small businesses that are the ones that are able and willing to take those risks and really help us advance the technology. All right, so let's dive into a little bit about DARPA. As Danny already mentioned, DARPA is composed of 6 technical offices. We've got the sciences offices and the systems offices. And I will say that utilization of small businesses, and especially the SBIR and STTR program, is actually pretty evenly spread out among the tech offices. I do encourage you, though, before ever submitting a proposal to DARPA, be familiar with the thrust areas of these tech offices. They do shift from time to time as our program managers rotate in and out. This is the current thrust areas, but it's always a good idea to check our website to see if any thrusts have shifts. Again, this snapshot, this slide gives a nice snapshot of our current thrust areas, but they do shift. So always check back frequently to see what our next thing is that we're looking at. Okay. All right. So DARPA is a really unique agency, and I hope that came across in Denny's intro, right? We are very lean. We have, about 200 or so government staff, and of those 100 that are technical program managers. We are a very lean agency, and we have a huge mission. So in order to do that, in order to stay ahead of state-of-the-art technology, we have to employ a very unique operating model. We are a $3.8 billion this year agency that's really not afraid to take risks if it means that we can move that technology needle forward. And most importantly, and from what I said earlier, right, we're not afraid to fail, because even failure is pushing the science forward. We are a program manager centric agency, meaning the program managers come in with their ideas. It's not a top down, this is what we're studying. It's the program managers that come in and say, this is the issue we need to be looking at. We also rotate our technical program managers in for term appointment. And we do that because in order to stay ahead of state-of-the-art technology, you have to rotate program managers in so that you have the people that are up to date the most on the technology. They're given this challenge, right, when they come in to stay ahead of state-of-the-art technology, and we move fast to do it. Our programs, our SBIR programs are about 3 years in length. Our larger technical office programs are about 5 years in length, which is much quicker than most of the other government agencies. But let's go on to the next slide, and we can talk about actually what we do and how we do it a little bit. There's basically 3 main ways that DARPA funds ideas and to work with DARPA. You can see from the left side, we've got programs. Those are our large multi-year, multidisciplinary efforts. That middle column you can see is challenges. And that's sort of prize-based competitions for the most part. They're competitions that we do on unique R&D problems. Self-driving cars came out of the DARPA Grand or DARPA Urban Challenge. We did a cyber challenge a few years ago. They're much quicker than programs, and they really help push that technology needle forward. And then you can see in the far right column, we have smaller efforts, which are our seedlings, explorations, and our SBIRs and STTR programs. Those are kind of the 3 main ways that we fund ideas. But that means nothing if we can't kind of tell you how to engage. So let's go to the next slide. Before I get too far in, I always like to take a minute to kind of talk to you about how to engage, right? Even before responding to a BAA or a broad agency announcement. I think it's really important for small businesses because the work that you do ahead of time before submitting a proposal can be just as valuable, if not more so, as the submission of a proposal itself. I think a lot of people think that their proposal is their first hurdle to working with the government, but I challenge you to think of that as sort of your last hurdle, that there's a lot of upfront work that can be done to help you understand the agency. And to work with DARPA, you really need to understand us, or more specifically, right, you need to understand what a particular PM is thinking, what they're focused on, right? As I just said a few slides ago, DARPA is a PM-centric organization. So this slide is going to highlight for you some ways to connect with DARPA or the PM overall, really to help you understand the agency to submit a better proposal, right? So the obvious way is to get involved with DARPA or to work as a prime or sub or get involved with the SBIR program, right? And the SBIR program is what I'll focus on in a little bit. But there's a lot of other more subtle ways that can really help small businesses or universities learn more about DARPA and how our